This is a podcast from soof.co.uk. Hello, I'm Patrick Downs. This is all about film, whether it be Blu-ray, DVD or streaming. This is Bring the Film. Iron Claw is the true story of the inseparable Von Erich brothers who made history in the intensely competitive world of professional wrestling in the early 80s. Through tragedy and triumph, under the shadow of the domineering father and coach, the brothers seek larger-than-life immortality on the biggest stage in sports.
You were long getting up.
Yeah, I've just never hit the floor that hard before.
You gotta take it and get up.
Yeah, I know. He wasn't supposed to throw me out the ring. Caught me off guard. There was nothing I could do. I just couldn't move.
This is how they test you.
Directed and written by Sean Durkin, starring ZAC Efron, Jeremy Allen White, Harris Dickinson, Maura Tierney and Lily James. A correspondent, Madeleine Finlay Hudson, caught up with ZAC Efron, who plays Kevin Von Erich, and Sean Durkin, the writer-director, to talk more about the process of developing a character based on a real person and working closely with Sean.
I worked very closely with Sean on the process. I didn't work so much with Kevin himself on the development of the character. It's pretty sensitive subject material, and I wanted to respect him and also respect the filmmaking process, I think. So that's something I relied very heavily on Sean for, and he was the man for the job.
And Sean, I read that this was a passion project for you. Where and when did you decide to start developing the film, and how did you choose which of the brothers' stories to focus on?
Yeah, I started in 2015, started working on it, but it's something that I've been thinking about since I was a kid. I was a fan of theirs as a kid and loved wrestling, and their story just always stayed with me, and I felt quite connected to it. And so when I started thinking about it as a film, it was such a big, epic story. It took a long time to chip away at it and find the core. But yeah, Kevin's survival really became the core of the story. Yeah, he was sort of the light, that sort of guided it through. I mean, like how he is now, the way he talks about his survival, and he's so honest about what he went through. And that was the thing I kept coming back to. And yeah, it really made that the center.
I wanted to ask you both. So, Sean, you've referred to the extreme misguided masculinity on display in the Iron Claw. How important is it for you both to amplify these stories and open more of a dialogue around male mental health? Yeah,
it's really important for me. It's something that I felt my whole life and there wasn't language around it, didn't necessarily know how to articulate it, but just saw these old trends in older generations that felt sort of wrong to me. And so it's always been an interest. And also, seeing how it can be terrible when it's acted upon by men, but also to the men it's been affected by it. And that's really interesting to me to look at that and call it.
It's also fascinating, yeah, because there's not really language around it at this point. It's how it sneaks up on you. And in the case of the Von Erichs, it's just a brilliant example of how it kind of works its way into, successful careers and strong families and things like that. It really is a fascinating look.
And aside from obviously the family drama element of it, the wrestling scenes, can we talk about those, Zach? So they must have required some extensive choreography. Did your dance experience help with this at all, or was it a case of learning an entirely new skill?
No, dancing helps for sure. It definitely helps. There's no way to get into wrestling other than just to start. And we all the guys, we committed from the very first day, from the first lesson. We just showed up, we dropped our egos at the door and just started to listen. And we had a great coach in Chavo Guerrero. It was hard. Wrestling's no joke, man. That it beats you up. It's a hell of a sport. I've got a ton of respect for it. And it's one of the most fun things I've been able to learn in several years to apply to a film. So it pulls on every creative and physical part of your being. It's really fun.
And Sean, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the soundtrack, because the score and the soundtrack I felt really amplify the film. How did you go about curating it? Did you get any input from Kevin on music that sort of soundtracked the brothers' lives?
When I write, I build a soundtrack. So I have this, over the years of writing, I sort of collect songs and I'll listen to it when I'm writing to just sort of get the right vibe and headspace. And Don't Fear the Reaper and Tom Sawyer and, some Tom Petty and things like that were all, a part of that. So it was like finding that area. It's like period correct, but also just the right joyous vibe, and really using that also as the base for score and for the original song. We wanted the original original song that connected to that world. But it, it came out like of Tom Sawyer was the song that they actually came out to, the brothers. So that was like an easy base to come out of. And then in terms of the score, we wanted, some of it, we wanted the sort of rock-based score on one side for the brothers, but we also wanted this very like heavy classical score for Fritz and for the Curse. And so we wanted to merge those things and connect the score to the original song as well, which we did.
Incredible. And yeah, the original song is just like, it's on every playlist I have. And lastly, I just wanted to ask Zach, the bond we see between you and Jeremy and Harris and Stanley on screen is it's beautiful. How did you go about forming that?
Yeah, a lot of it came really naturally. Those are fantastic guys. I mean, I consider them brothers at this point. So not that much work really went into that. I think it was, the nature of the story and the way that Sean set up the filming process. We got to know each other really well before we got started. And you can tell that all these actors really deeply cared about this story. So, I mean, if you got committed, hardworking, smart, cool guys around you, their chemistry is off the charts. So I love those guys.
Starring ZAC Efron, it's Iron Claw and it's available now. And with that, thanks for checking me out on the Bring the Film podcast today. I'm Patrick Downs, and you can keep in touch across Twitter at I'm Patrick Downs, also on Instagram or facebook.com/officialpoptart. And there's also the website soof.co.uk. This is a podcast from soof.co.uk.